Just to let you know, we're being live streamed now. Tyrone is on his way, so we will smile at him as he walks in. Let's start with the card here. Kia ora. Welcome everybody up to Waitangi weekend. A good one. Yeah, lovely time over in Olympia. Welcome, Tyrone. Good to see you. We're just going to go through to apologies, and I haven't received any apologies. Anything else? No? Okay, let's move along to declarations of interest. Okay. Do we need to? Okay. Declarations of interest, as always, if something pops up and we're discussing it and it is a conflict of interest, just let us know at the time or beforehand. Confirmation of previous minutes. There's 2 minutes that we needed to confirm here. One was on the 9th of December and the other one was on the 27th, which was third hour meeting there. So I'm happy to move that. Can I have a second, please? Kathy, thank you. All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you.
For both sets.
Yes, for both sets. Yep. Moving right along. So, Reserve Committee meeting minutes on page 19. Linda will come up and let us know what's the latest.
Morning. Morning. Booga Shell Reserve Committee minutes. Booga Shell has made the decision to pause the waiting list for permanent sites until the matter of dispensation for a continuation of annual sites is resolved. It's in line with what Pigeon Bay have also done. Littleton Reserve Committee, following Helen Shaw's resignation from the committee, Kirsty Brennan has been elected chairperson with Hamish Fairburn as the deputy chair. Littleton Reserve Committee featured on One News in December with their popular initiative to clear pest pine trees by inviting the community members to come and cut a Christmas tree. CCC provided the hand saws and gel to poison the stumps once they were cut, and the link to the news item is in the minute if you want to watch that. Cass Bay, the committee has been dealing with theft, graffiti and vandalism on Steadfast. I had a chat to the chairperson who said that this is part of an apparent increase in crime in the area in general. But on a positive note, in all during October and November last year, the Reserve Committee and external volunteers contributed over 300 hours of their time doing a variety of tasks in Cass Bay. The chairperson told me that more than 45 local people volunteer in some capacity in Cass Bay, not including the larger number of people who turn up for planting days and working bees, and their contribution is very much appreciated by the committee. If you haven't checked out the Reserve Committee webpage lately, please do. We've got a latest news section on there now, and there's at least 3 articles in there for you to check out. That's me.
Great. That's fantastic. Great thorough update on what's going on. Thank you. And the website, it'll be very interesting to go in and maybe even let our people know about what's happening with reserve committees, because I know volunteers are precious and we need more. So people are curious about what's going on. It's a great resource that we can share with them about it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
No,
yeah, questions?
is it right?
Yep.
Thanks, Linda. So just on about the Steadfast thing, like, so what we maybe Kathy might know a bit like. So what's been happening? Graffiti, vandalism, people have been breaking into the buildings, or
yeah, it's
maybe demolishing the garage.
Vandalism, so there has been a bit of theft going on there as well.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. So do you know which buildings?
Not specifically.
Oh,
it may be mentioned in the minutes, but
okay.
I haven't got them on.
Am I right that this is probably out of scope? But am I right in thinking that there's some work depending on actually I'll ask stuff that doesn't.
All right. So moving on to, unless there's any more questions about reserve committee meeting minutes. Oh, yes, thank you. I'm happy to move that. Is there a seconder, please? Accept those minutes. Thank you. We'll go. Someone going to
been around.
Nigel, thank you. Nigel, yeah.
Thank you, yourself.
Myself. We've got Aotearoa Museum Advisory Committee.
Yes, John Curry is the new president of the Friends of Aotearoa Museum, and he was welcomed to the committee. The committee offered assistance in the way of photos and information to staff responsible for creating the interpretation panels for the new Aotearoa Walk, and this has been conveyed to relevant staff and acknowledged. For those interested in historical anecdotes about Aotearoa Walk, there's a link within the minutes to a Gary Bushenden film of residents sharing some interesting stories about the walk. And the committee also acknowledged the fine work that has gone into the exhibition program, in particular for the recent Takapuniki exhibition.
Which was, most of it was on display at Anuku for Waitangi Day, the museum, and Anuku engaged in that work at Anuku, setting up the display and taking it down on the day. Cool.
Great.
I had a bit of a yarn with John at the devotional show, actually, and encouraged him to make a submission to him. So, yeah.
What did you do, Sam?
Just encourage John to that phone Friends of Aotearoa Museum should just engage with them.
Oh, right. Yeah, great. Thank you. Good. All right, who would like to move that? No, seconder, please. Luana, this time. She's in there. All those in favour? Carried. Head-to-head walkway.
Yes, you'll see a couple of additional resolutions in head-to-head walkway working group report. One is to note the head-to-head walkway working party support for public consultation regarding removal of on-street parking adjacent to the Paradise Beach steps and construction of a footpath. That's something that's already come up for the board. In the past, there's about 200 metres of footpath there, or non-footpath that needs to be made into footpath. It's currently car parking. Secondly, it was pointed out that there are existing tracks that could link up with the developed portions of the head-to-head track, so that a person could potentially walk all the way from Godley Head to Adderley Head entirely via existing tracks. So the second one is noting the head-to-head walkway working party's intention to work with council and other external agencies with a view to creating information for walkers that promotes a head-to-head walking network that includes but is not limited to the head-to-head walkway. The working party is concerned about dogs being exercised off leash in the area where little blue penguin nesting boxes are being installed around Naval Point. While the dog control bylaw has brought in leashing on walking paths, wharves and jetties and has introduced prohibited areas on some mud flats and foreshore areas, the group said that these rules will need to be enforced to ensure the safety of the wildlife. So at the time of the meeting, some of the members were planning to make an independent submission to the dog control bylaw and policy consultation. Yeah.
Any questions around that?
I do, yeah. How will that rule be imposed? A lot of people don't seem to pay much attention to those changes in bylaws, and they are not even aware that there has been change in bylaws. Is there any notices on the paper or notice boards around?
Yes, there is. It's quite well advertised that bylaws are being reviewed. There's always a press ad. I know it's on the council website and the page. We noted in the report as well.
But once that changed,
Oh,
what
yes.
we'd like to know is what is the comms plan
Yeah.
for the new,
Yes.
for the new agreed bylaws when they come out?
What do we
It'd be
display?
good to know.
And it would be good to have that on our website and page, and probably Friday up there.
On the engagement page, whenever there's a consultation, if we go back into past consultations, if you look at the dog or there's always on the right-hand column progress, and there it has an outcome, that's usually where that sits.
Okay.
But we can certainly put it on the board's webpage and the weekly notices, and in the newsletter, those are all under our control.
Okay, yeah, thank you, yeah, that.
That'd
yeah,
be good
thanks,
to,
Linda.
once it's there, then we can
Yeah.
independently share it to the specific areas that we are, you know,
Yes,
representative of. Great.
the reason I asked is there is similar concern were raised about Accra Beach, main beach.
Mhm.
People just letting the dogs, and there has been instance where they didn't pick up after their dog, so. Yeah, so in Accra, and then they were told that we didn't know that this has been changed.
I didn't know that they had to
Yeah,
pick up after their dog.
It hasn't been changed at all.
Yeah,
Well, I think it
no,
might
it
be.
hasn't been, but
Yes.
they- yeah, even though there is a notice on the
There's
left
no
hand side of
sign.
either step.
It's pretty standard.
They're just making excuses of it.
Yeah. That's pretty cemented in most people's minds that they need to pick up after their dog in a public place.
Of course.
If they're not, then cheeky. Okay, so is that for you, Linda? Thank you so much for the reports. Oh, we need to move that, so I can move it. Who would like to second that? Yep, Gillian? All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much, Linda. Appreciate that good work there. What have we got? Staff reports. Is Joe online? Joe. Hi, Joe. If you can hear us, and it's your turn, you're up, you have the floor. We're talking about, oh, what page are we on? We are on 33.
Morena.
Morena.
Oh, you can obviously hear me.
Yeah,
Can you not
new
hear us?
speakers, new technology.
I know. Yes, I can hear you. Yep, all good.
Far away.
Thank you. So this is an update to the actions that came out of the audit report for the community managed facilities. So I'll just take this report as read. As we have some sort of photos and things of the progress that's being made on the Better Off funding projects, we'll include photos of those in the area reports. But as you can see, there is progress being made on all of those projects. And I guess just to sort of highlight the key things that that came out of the audit that were priorities, but that aren't really getting funded or aren't getting actioned currently. There's the Pigeon Bay Hall, which needs to be strengthened, earthquake strengthened. And the same as the Port Levy Hall, which also needs to be earthquake strengthened. And so we know that they are priorities within the community. And also some sort of investment into the Littleton Rec Centre to align with the community needs for that facility was also identified. So I guess those are some of the key things that are community priorities and needs that came out of the audit that aren't currently happening but need to happen ideally. So the earthquake strengthening needs to happen for Pigeon Bay Hall, I believe it's by 2033, and for Port Levy Hall by 2031. So I guess it's just that those projects would need to be in the planning stages at some point in the coming years.
Thank you. And I guess is that something for us as staff to look at for annual plans and long-term plans to put on our list of things?
Yes, yeah.
Also, yep, just take a note of that, please. Thank you. Great. Any other questions, Joe, or have you got more to add there for that?
Nope, that's it from me. So any questions, welcome.
So when we add some of those works in our annual plan, does they consider the Better Off fund that they have already received? And on top of that, we are asking for some more work,
Oh, yes, yeah.
especially for earthquake strengthening.
Yeah, the two that are earthquake prone require significant funding by 2031 to remain as an open facility.
Okay, so that is Pigeon Bay and
Port Levy.
Port Levy. And that is on top of the funding they are receiving.
Yes. The better off funding that you provided you to do any earthquake stuff, you would have needed to put your whole 300,000 into one of those facilities. So you spread it over.
Okay.
You took a few more bites off some other facilities instead of all doing one. And I understand that both Put Bay and Port Levy are not on a staff list for that work, so they don't feature anywhere in that.
So that's why we will add that in the annual plan, hoping for them to be in the next LTP.
That would be, yeah. That would be what you want to do, if that's what you want to, yeah.
Yes, yeah, that would be, yeah, thank you.
We're planning to have that in the
Yeah, we can talk about it later.
Okay.
Joe, I wondered, do you want to just, is it far enough along to share with the board about the Littleton recreation, about the research for Littleton? Is that
Yeah, I can give just a brief update. We've actually organised a workshop as well for the Littleton Rec Centre Trust to come along in March to give an update to the board as well about some of the projects and initiatives that are happening. But one of the kind of outcomes, I guess, from the community, the audit was that there's potential need for some investment in the Littleton Rec Centre to meet the needs of the community. So we're sort of working with the Littleton Rec Centre Trust to undertake a feasibility to look at what the community needs are, what the gaps are in the area, and potentially what that investment could be used for, what would be sort of the most beneficial way to meet the needs of the community. So we're sort of partnering together to do that research, and Dane will also work with myself and the trust on that as well. We should have a bit more of an update hopefully in March when they come along with us to give an update as well. Hopefully we'll be able to get that sort of started. And in the next area report, I've also put a note that they would really like for you to consider someone from the community board to work alongside the trust. So that will be at your next meeting, something for you to consider.
Great, thank you. It's a good update. Let's know what's going on. You had, sorry, I said, Kathy had her hand up before. Is that relevant to where we are now? Or?
Oh, yeah, it was just on Ellendale Hall. Any updates on that? They're currently working on it, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. They are currently working on it. I think they started very early in January. I don't have I haven't actually been in there to look at it myself. So I think that's probably what we're hoping, is to actually go in and have a look and see where it's at, what it's looking like. Last I had heard, they had done some work to the flooring, and they were still needing to put the ventilation underneath the floorboards. So it was still a work in progress, but we'll definitely put some updates in the area reports and or via email as soon as we get a bit more information about where it's at.
And I asked Matt on Wednesday when I was at council, and he said that they are working really hard on the water issue as well. So that might be taking a bit of time to make that safe, so that they can open, because the water hasn't been of great quality. So yeah, a bit of an update would be super. Thank you.
I had heard positive things, that things were going positively in terms of the repairs. So,
Cool.
Yeah,
that is good when we hear positive things.
Because there was some question about what would be found. But,
Yeah. Great. Well, good to hear.
Yeah, thank you. This is a small question. Investigating on Littleton Recreation Facility, is that you're looking at in relation to annual plan or independent to that? Are you looking at finding some gaps and then asking to be included in the annual plan?
Well, it could be, depends on what comes back. If it comes back that it's a big project that is beyond the scope of council funding something solely, then yes, it would be looking probably at other funders or fundraising. But if it comes back within the scope of the internal facilities program budget, which is already within the annual plan, long-term plan, then there is the ability to prioritise that funding towards something in the Littleton Rec Centre. So it really depends on the scope of what comes back and how big the project is, and then we'll have to consider funding. But certainly within the program budget, it would be hoped that a case could be made for some funding to go into something at least at the rec centre.
So we won't know that in time for this and submission because the research hasn't started. So they have to do the whole research, which will be all of Littleton, needs, not just the centre, but what are the needs in Littleton, and then it'll be what can be met and focused on or adapted at the centre to meet those needs. So that's down the track a little bit.
Yeah, thank you. It's a really good idea. So that then ideas start coming from the community.
Yeah.
And they're fresh. Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Okay, good there. And great to have this update that we've agreed to have. Was it every quarter? I can't remember. How often do we?
6 monthly.
6 monthly. Okay. So we look forward to hearing about this again in 6 months.
I have one question. It's just about the general category at the top there, and kind of how broad is, or how, like when it talks about Lisa, say for example, the first one is about Lisa not present and or not in plain English. Some of the, and not just that, but the other things that they're quite broad, so it could apply to like 90% of the facilities or 5%. So it's, I guess I find it doesn't provide me with a lot of information, but how big are some of those issues? Yeah, that's my question.
Yeah, and that's a good point. We could probably provide a little bit more detail about the specific community managed facilities. Some of them already have leases in place, so they're sort of not necessarily the focus for this one, but some we've had that feedback that some people have, or committees have reviewed the lease and it's just been too long and complex and as they've said, not in plain English, so it makes it hard for committees to want to sign up to. So it's kind of a going forward thing, and yeah, I guess from the leasing team, they like the agreement to be in place because it covers things off with a legal lens, but putting a cover sheet that's at least explaining the kind of key, the key obligations of the council and of the committee that's signing the lease, and that being much more straightforward and easy to understand. So at least there can be some conversations around what the committee would be agreeing to and what the council's agreeing to, and a bit more details about the maintenance schedules, because that's also been some feedback that we've had. It's a bit unclear when council does maintenance on buildings or when the committee's expected to do that. So it is a bit general, and maybe we could break that down into just letting you know who have got leases in place and who we're working with to put leases in place with. But any other feedback is welcome as well in that area.
Great, thanks, Joan. Yeah, amazing job on all these facilities.
Fantastic.
Sorry, just on Little River, not currently a legal entity or operation. Sorry, did we talk about this? No. So that's the RAC committee, is it?
No, centre.
Rightio.
It's the hall. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Right.
So there is a.
It's not covered in. So it wouldn't be covered in the reserves committee or anything.
No. It's a standalone hall committee that's really only one person now. So we're about to. We started working on this towards the end of last year, but it got too busy at Christmas time. We're busy. We're going to be asking for new volunteers to re-establish an operational committee and energise it and activate it and some stuff like that. There's plenty of stuff that has,
It's well used.
very well used,
Yeah.
but
There's
maybe not so
some
much.
things that upkeep needs.
Yeah, a bit more coordination and like a publicly accessible calendar so people can see when groups are using it, kind of stuff, yeah.
They could roll over the Gaiety. You should do the double bookings and things.
Oh, that's a council booked facility, this is different, this is
Yeah,
community
okay.
managed. So we're gonna be, Jane will be working with community to support them to re-establish the committee
I mean, this is the hall just by the entrance to the,
by the fire
by
station.
the fire station.
Yeah, it's the same, yeah.
Okay. It gets used to all sorts of things.
It does, it's used every day of the week.
Yeah.
Not so much on the week, maybe Sundays it's not used, but it's used every other day of the week.
It doesn't fall within the reserve committee's purview.
No,
Right, cool.
fortunately, you know.
Or the, it's just. I'm sure the solution. Toilet upgrade, is that toilets?
Little River Community Centre internal toilets.
Okay.
Have you been there lately?
I think they're old school is probably the way to describe it.
Probably a bit like the one,
Yeah,
a
they,
bit like the one on the recreation ground out there, that's right. Right, let me.
oh, they'd be similar, to be fair, they're similar, yeah. Things like even really basic things, water, I think are basic now with water, you know, having one flush, like not being able to do a half a flush because the water that gets wasted.
That's one of the toilets that just keeps flushing and flushing and flushing.
Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, definitely do, especially the men's, they are vile. Not that I go in there.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. It's really exciting to see how when we first went on this journey with the facilities audit and we had an idea of what it could be used for and we talked about it. And now we're starting to see that it's providing some real anchor points that we can start using to leverage some progress in projects. So it's really exciting to see this actually sort of moving forward. So thank you for keeping yourself all over it. And all the staff for where we've come to with it. It's really exciting to see.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. See you.
Cool. See you.
Awesome. Right, Andrea. Okay, so yes, can I'm happy to move that. Can I have a seconder, please? Gillian, all those in favour? Against? That is carried, received. Okay, discretionary response and application Diamond Harbour School. Morning, Andrea.
Good morning, everyone.
Mhm.
So you have in front of you an application from Diamond Harbour School for a digital water testing kit. The volunteers do everything else around the pool, and the costs of the pool key pay for all of the chemicals and anything else associated with the pool. But this is to ensure that the water testing is meeting requirements, really. So, and there's no human error possibilities. So does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I do actually. Thanks, Andrea. So I remember having a chat with Jill Pears actually probably last year at some stage, just around the pool in general. And are there any other sort of things? Is this part of a set of things that you're engaging with the school on around looking after the pool, or is this just kind of a bit of a one-off?
This has come through as a one-off.
Right, okay. Sorry, it's quite a vague question, I know, but yeah, okay, no, that's cool. Thank you. So they haven't raised anything else that they need from council around the pool?
Not to me. I am meeting with Jill hopefully soon, so I can check in with her then. But at the moment, this is the only one that's come through. Yeah, sure.
Brilliant. Thanks, Andrea. Cheers.
Any other questions about the pool and the testing and the anything? Seems pretty clear cut.
Yeah, I'll move it. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, moving second. Asif, all those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. Thank you very much, Andrea.
Thank you.
We've got an area report. Oh my goodness, so much stuff. So always so good, but yeah, really good. Ben.
Well, there is so much stuff. Happy to just go straight to questions if you like.
Shall we just take a second for everybody to get up to the page and refresh our memories?
1, 2, 4, I guess.
Should be 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
Yep.
Information Centre is in Akaroa, is going really well.
Mm.
Running great guns.
Yes.
30 to 50 visitors a day. They've been open every day over the busy period. They had a little bit of a glitch getting going with finding enough volunteers, but they managed to get there. So
Actually, I only hit there because no one told me.
right.
Why did that?
Also, the parents who fighting a situation. Usually it's one of the dedicated volunteers.
Volunteers. That's
Just initially, just sort of see how.
That's good news.
they're getting a lot of questions about walking tracks.
It's good to see the stuff on Allendale Hall actually is happening, so that's,
Yes.
I know it's kind of mentioned.
Yes, I did go in and have a look,
Really?
partway through, and the floor, they'd originally thought they would replace a small portion of the floor, but half of the floor has been replaced.
What a surprise.
And they were still going to stain that to sort of match the other, because it's a plywood floor, they had to stain it to match the tongue and groove, colour of the tongue and groove, but that was very early on, they hadn't done the ventilation and they weren't moving in the water at that stage, so, yeah, it'd be, I don't think it'll be too far away to be reopened.
That's good. I mean, it would just be meaningful for the, the locals to see that happening, so that's good.
Traffic safety around Cass Bay, how long will they take to cut back vegetation? I'm not sure. I saw them there doing it, but I don't know if it's done properly or done. Just sort of how long they say they're supposed to cut back by.
I can jump in on that one if you want.
Oh, yes.
Pen. And Lynn. Yeah, actually, we had planned to sort of review how that was going. So I can organise a time to go out there with the traffic engineer and just have a look at it and just see. And if it needs more trimming, then he, I think, would be able to organise that.
Yeah.
And sorry.
And another one about the mirrors up at Mariners, did that come up again?
Yeah, so that's the request from the community is for the mirrors, but the transport team have advised that it doesn't meet the criteria in order to put a mirror in at Mariners Cove. So so that's why the alternative kind of measures are being trialled, which is the cutting of the vegetation, markings on the road to note that it's to remind vehicles to slow down, and also a sign noting that there's a concealed road, and they are going to monitor the number and speed of vehicles by putting one of those I don't know the technical name for it, road markers down. And so once that data comes back, we'd plan to kind of review it just to see what speed vehicles are going.
Oh, you're cutting in and out, Joe.
Oh, frozen in a lot of the Brazilian.
All right, I might come back to you if you've got something you can quite finish there, Katie.
Sorry, either Joe or there was a question that resident raised from Rapaki, but I'm not sure if it actually came as a snap, send and solve, which we recommended they do because it would then, you know, it was around same sort of thing coming around the bend and not being a road coming out, but maybe putting a sign saying, you know, either a hidden driveway or slow down, and there's no slow signs in that area. So, or the snap, send and solve raise the issue. Okay, so we'll have to read out that one to make sure it comes through.
Yep.
Chase it up, check it out, see if they logged it, if they had a response, and if not, then you can bring it, escalate it through the system.
So do we have Jo back to finish, or is she all done?
I think it was done.
Done. Okay. I just got reminded about something when I read the progress for Upper Community Response Group. A lot of the response groups had been asking for DRIF funding to support their sort of setup costs, but also some vital equipment that could be used in emergencies. And we just had an update from John Purcell. Yes. That he's managed to find $60,000 for groups who are asking for money like this. So that's good news.
Yeah.
You got right. More
Okay.
report on that.
We will be reporting how it's going to work.
Yes.
We have a staff meeting about that, but it means that was one of the things you were going to ask for in your annual plans, Bishop. But they've juggled budgets. They see it as really important. It will be available for 2 years. And the staff are already working right across the peninsula with it. So it means that they can allocate that funding appropriately.
We
We do the criteria.
Yeah, we've also asked in the annual long-term plan as well for that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we hope to get more than 60,000 because there are some equipments that 60,000 wouldn't cover.
Well, this is for setting up the, it's based on civil defences. I think they have a basic sort of budget of around about 2,500 or so for setting up an emergency hub, but it depends on the actual equipment that they need. So it's, I'm not sure what would cost more than that, but sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be something.
Yeah.
It still need to be in this.
Yeah,
position that
every
that one's
community is different and their
Yeah.
need of equipment is different.
Yeah.
Yeah, so where we 60,000 is a good start.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what this tells me is that these groups are getting the work done to figure out what they need.
Yes, yeah.
And then this is the outcome of this is right, this is what we need. So it's a good sign, and hopefully it means that everybody's going to plug those gaps so that in an emergency they've got what they need to do as well as they can. So that's good,
60,000.
very good.
We recently purchased some walkie-talkies for Littleton Harbour because they worked out that if everything else breaks down, that these walkie-talkies give them access across the harbour to the different hubs. That's not it's not necessarily a solution for other parts of the peninsula or those in the way, but around Littleton, however that works.
Same, Aberdeen's Plate, they asked for similar radios.
Right.
Yeah, board funded.
But yes,
Well, that's a
obviously
good start.
communication is a big
Yeah.
factor as far as,
Yes.
being prepared and
Yeah.
ready. I don't know. I know that's good, okay.
That's good, thank you.
So, it'll be interesting to hear what that can cover and what we can use that for, so then we do know what else we need to aim for. So that would be really good to have. Right. Anything else on there that we got questions about? Oh, just the new storage sheds as well on the side of Birdman's Flat. Just wanted to make a note of that, and I said this to council, that it seems like quite a small thing, but I actually think it's quite a big thing, because it means that they can take all of their chairs and tables that they had in that nurse's room and put them outside and actually use that room as a nurse's room or a wellbeing room or whatever else. So, exciting that it's going ahead. Yeah. Right, all right, so can I have a mover to accept that if there's no more questions?
Happy.
Tyrone and Asif, seconding, all those in favour? Carrie, thank you very much, team, that's great work there. And next, moving on to elected members exchange, gosh, it's been so that, I guess, since our last meeting in December, if you want a little scroll back through the brain way back then. What we've all been up to.
Everyone's been on holiday, so it's lovely.
We haven't done anything, no. Anybody like to start?
Hey, I'll crack on.
No, but-
That's right. It all started back in January. I did mention I went to the debate the Rochelle show. I stood in for the mayor that day and did a speech on his behalf. It was really good. It rained, but it was still brilliant. So good event here, and by that I left the River show, but I think a few of us might have gone to that. Thanks Peninsula show as it is. Now I don't need to talk about the momentous thing that happened on the 27th at our board meeting there. So we'll keep moving on. I'm really just getting ready for deliberations around the annual plan at council at the moment, although it's sort of kicking off furiously probably this week. So I want to share with you. The Banks Peninsula Conservation Trust have a new chair. I don't know if any of you have met him. Simon Shelton is his name, taken over from Benny Garnaby. So I caught up with him a couple of weeks ago and just had a bit of a chat about where they want to go this year, and it was just important to keep that relationship going. You might have seen in the paper that council have pushed forward on asking staff to work on a local alcohol ban. Now, what it actually is, like anything that happens at council, there's like something happens and people go, oh, this is terrible. Like, it's just misinformation gets out there. People don't actually understand what's happening. All that council have asked for is councillors have asked for is for staff to continue work on going to the community and consulting around potential things for a local alcohol policy might look like. And so there are like 6 or 7 or 8 different options, ranging from we should shut off licences earlier to we must have more restrictions on where new licences or shops or bars can be, and all that sort of stuff. Right, so it's a whole range of things that people were chatting about. I personally had some reservations because Banks Peninsula being what it is, with smaller communities and kind of sort of weird weird things that a lot of other places in Christchurch don't really have, like kindergartens next to like working men's clubs and that there might be unintended consequences. So I'm really mindful of that, and so we'll just go through the process of the consultation, see what comes out of it, and sort of the feed. Yeah, we'll just let it go through that process. But I'm really, really mindful that exponential shouldn't be kind of unduly affected. But I don't see it. Any questions on that? Hopefully that made sense. Waitangi Day last Thursday, I went to Onuku, where the Governor General was. The Prime Minister did speak as well. I wasn't there for that because I had to get over to O'Kane's Bay to have lunch with the Governor General, which never happened because she was running late from Onuku. But still had lunch. That was really so that was a really lovely day. Very hospitable at Onuku, and it was a really respectful and constructive, from my point of view, from what I could see, day. And then really great to get over to O'Kane's, where there was people coming to the museum. The museum was really busy, and yeah, and it was just a good day already. Probably things, but they're the big ticket items, I would say. Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Would you know when your next meeting?
Oh, shivers, I've missed one bit.
Question has a bit.
Yes.
Do you know when your meeting
That's
is?
exactly what I missed. Sorry, that was quite major. So we had hearings. So the next meeting is on the 4th of March, reconvening on the 4th of March.
Okay.
So we had hearings, a day's worth of hearings a couple of Fridays ago around the Coastal Hazards Adaptation Plan. I would say that probably 50% of the deputations were around Wharf Road and Port Levy. Where the local residents were pretty adamant that they had a different view to what the recommendation was about how to work with Wharf Road and Port Levy. I won't say any more than that, but that's just what happened. So we're still in the live hearings process. So yeah, so we'll just let that pan out, really.
No, that's good. Good to know that it's reconvening on the 4th. Is it a decision-making day or is it more?
Should be, yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah.
Good to know. Good luck with that process.
Thank you. That was good. It was good.
Yeah.
It was particularly satisfying to have a whole day of hearings about Banks Peninsula that my colleagues had to enjoy. I loved it.
All right. Shall we carry on around, Gillian?
Yes, so I can't remember what December.
Yeah.
But maybe nothing much about it. But anyway, since then I did go to a meeting of the Littleton Museum, partly because they're a bit short of people.
Volunteers.
Well, people on the committee, but they've got plans to change that, so that's good. Two things that were specifically mentioned in the agenda there. One was about just formal change to the name of the museum, so it's really just omitting the the. So it's now it will be called Te Uaka Littleton Museum. And there was another motion about the society becoming including bicultural values in its. So that's I think there's going to be in its new constitution. So all organisations have to come up with that those changes to the requirements in terms of constitutions and things, which are all coming up. So that's the two main things I recall from that. They're having a meeting soon about their strategy as well, so putting quite a bit of effort into that. And I did listen to the Coastal Hazards Adaptation Plan hearing, which online, which was interesting. Yeah. Yeah, so we'll.
So keep saying it's action, but it's adaptation.
I know.
So, yes, I know. I know you noticed.
Yeah.
You really enunciated the adaptation.
Yeah. So that's all I think is relevant at the moment. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Nigel.
Well, as you've heard, I've been involved with the information centre on the ground level. Had 3 days in there, and my observation so far is that there is a lot of volunteers now coming forward. I think people were sort of thought they'd be selling and have to work with FPOS and things like that, put people off initially, but there's no selling going on there apart from a few leaflets. For walking tracks and recovering printing costs for the walks. The walkway stuff is amazing. It's about like 60%. It's for walkways. It's open for extended hours in the weekend, but 4 hours during the week. And when we've done 3 days in there now, and in 4 hours we've sort of had about 45 the first day, and then on the last day it was increasing. Last day we had over 60 people in 4 hours come and wanting information. So it's I think it's great. I think it really helps connect the community with the visitors, and it's going very well. And now we seem to have enough volunteers to keep the door open a lot longer. Just something that was brought up, and we had a bit of a talk down there, a bit of an induction. It's actually people learning about the tracks themselves. It's about people knowing what's there, how long it takes to get around, where you should send people. Some of the safety aspects were brought up. I think we had a discussion there, and someone came up with someone was helicoptered out of Stanley Park a couple of weeks ago with a broken ankle coming down very steep track. Now, I mentioned there was in the plan a boardwalk to help ease that track in the plan. This safety aspect should be probably brought up as part of that encouragement to go ahead with that project. Local tourism, Christmas, interesting time. As soon as the sun comes out, it's like flies around bees around a honeypot, probably better. Bees around a honeypot. And people come over in their thousands. I mean, a couple of days there have like been almost some of the biggest days we've ever seen in Rākaihautū. We're struggling to find parks. Park away up in the valleys. I always used to defend and say Rākaihautū had a parking problem, but compared to other places in the world, it really doesn't. I think it's and I think something to take on board going forward is that, people go over there because they can get a park. And they can walk their dog. They can have the freedom that they can't get now in the centre of town. I really believe that's a big attraction to drawing people over the road. And I think some businesses have done very well over there and some haven't this year. I've been told that there could be some that close because of the poor tourist numbers, but I've also spoken to some who said it's probably their best year ever. I know the harbour cruises are very popular. I know Pipi Tours are doing huge volumes of Asians coming through there, going out on their tours, so doing up to 4 or 5 a day.
Which one's that?
Pipi Tours.
Pipi Tours.
And I know Rākaihautū Dolphin and Black Cat from all appearances are doing very well too. I'm right there on the foreshore now. I can see what's going on the ground level. And my wife was avoiding too much of a hurry to get down the stairs, but that's another story. So the day traffic is huge, and you get the locals all go down the shop 9 o'clock before the traffic comes, but they know it's coming. By 11 o'clock, the town's full if it's a sunny day. I spoke to Vanessa Winnett. She said she's going to lobby for pullover areas going over. I think Lynn was involved in that conversation as well out of Peninsula Marae. It was well attended. If you look at the Waitangi Te full 3.5 hours, where I think in the last 15 minutes there's actually Anuku's on there. So if you get a chance to fast forward through all the morning stuff, you get to the afternoon stuff. It was a little bit delayed, which did throw out the timing for the Cairns Bay, but it was very well received. It was amazing how many people turned up, that were digging trees, and there was a very stern lesson. A speech made. It was a very good speech. If you get a copy of it by the chair of Ngāi Tapu, very great speech, and all the speeches were good. Festival, we're sort of struggling a little bit with getting that moving.
What is that, sorry?
The French Festival. There may be delays in this year's one. We do need a sustainable. We need to have it sustainable. We need to sit down and have a good look at the working model, how it works going forward. And of course, I think the destination management plan, if we're coming up to our annual plan, we need to be really digging deep. And yes, but I had a meeting yesterday, and we feel that I think now's the time to work really, or make an approach to try and get some of that national funding. The levies are coming through. We want to know our vehicles, and I think we should be aiming higher up the ladder to try and get some funding for the village. I mean, look at this walking track scene. If it's all about infrastructure, walking tracks alone would be justification for a lot of that money. So that's about all I have at this stage. And it's good to be back. Good to be back. We're back.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks, Joe. Just a couple of things. Starting with community vote submission to draft climate change adaptation plan for Littleton. It was good, good submission. I was quite surprised to see quite a lot of people submitting around Wharf Road, and then we missed it. There was no reference of that in our submission, and I was there for almost 2.5 hours, 2 hours, and a number of people spoke about that. And I was asked that question there, and I just could speak for myself, not for everyone else. I think if community is submitting, in favor of keeping it open and improve services, I think somehow this board should, speak for their communities, because I don't know that area very well. You guys would know that area. So I don't know how it would look like going forward, because we have already made our submission. Just something to make note of.
Definitely, yeah, to note.
Yeah. Watching them, it was very good organization by Anuku. I was pleased with that. The theme and the acceptance of different ideas, different interpretation of the treaty. So difference of opinions were raised, but with respect. And it was quite balanced. I think it's one of the best I have attended. I thank Anuku for their hospitality and organizing such a successful event. Thank you for that. Late last year, you remember Tyler Harrison Hunt, who has got the portfolio of youth and multicultural. He gave a presentation here, and it was good time because I have been talking to him a number of times before that, a number of groups. So I just collected my notes from that and previous, and after that meeting, I contacted a few informal discussions, and based on that, I drafted a proposal shared with everyone here, and Nigel and I discussed various aspects of it, and going forward it would be good to have your support for that proposal for ECRA. I'm happy to discuss more in detail later. During Waitangi, I spoke with a number of councillors on that subject, and they were quite supportive of that idea. So there is a bit of support there already. Attended ECRA devotional ANP show. It was a good turnout, despite of the wet weather. ECRA and the base emergency response team, they have revised the draft, and then in next month or so it will go for community consultation. Pam Richardson and hopefully Leanne will be giving a presentation to ECRA on the base for the next meeting tomorrow. So it will be good to get some feedback there. Earlier last year, I received some feedback about the opening hours of ECRA Information Center. People are just asking that there's not much, many hours, and then they miss out on a number of things that they could have done, after 2 or various reasons they couldn't get there on time, especially visitors when they come and they don't know the limited hours. So I spoke with Tyrone at the time, and then we asked staff for some feedback. And at the time, they had they had some data which supported the current hours were fine. And I have got a couple of members of community. They asked that, especially with the information center open, you would receive that feedback as well, because you open longer than the service center on certain days. Yeah, it would be good to increase the number of hours the service center is open, and it would be good to have your support in the annual plan for that, and Tyrone is aware of that already. So that's me. Yeah, thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. So what's the next step with seeing if it can be open, or is it figuring out what
Yes.
the need is, like what
So
we must
the staff, they were doing service, council services they were managing. They are doing now post, which is taking extra time and a bit of stress for them. And so in that regard, if it is open for longer hours, then we can take the pressure off staff, and it would be beneficial for both visitors and residents, so they can use like any other facility. Like the service center here opens for longer hours, it's compared to the one in Accra. So then if the timing of Accra Service Center is the same as Little River, then it would really work out. Because Little River from here to Accra is a bit of time. People don't have to drive here to host after anything after hours, which would be avoided, addressed that extra timing.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what's the next step for trying to get it open?
So, Tyrone, he has,
Well, nothing from me because
yeah,
if it's
it has come from an annual plan.
So
so
does the
the-
community need to ask for all the?
Yeah, community board need to ask for extra hours because that's a feedback that we've received. So then the council would allocate some extra funding for extra hours for staff there. Then it will be, you can increase hours for the service center. It all comes down to the annual plan, basically.
So I'm looking at pen. It feels very important in this conversation. So at the moment, the service centre, my understanding is the service centre open longer in Little River, is that what you're saying, than our one is?
Yeah, it opens at 8:30 and closes at 4:30, and it is shut for
Yeah.
1 hour over lunch break from 12:30 to 1:30.
Yeah.
Well, the service centre over in Nakara used to be open the same hours.
Yeah. And it was reduced hours. Yeah.
So
now-
you'd like that added to the annual plan
Yes.
list
Yes,
for the board to consider, including extending the Aparoa service centre hours.
yes, yeah,
We'll put that on your annual plan list.
yes, thank you.
I think synergy between, this Littleton, Wairera and Akaroa is relatively important for a lot of reasons to support that argument.
Both Little River and Littleton service centres are within a library, so they
Okay.
provide the library
Okay.
service
Yeah,
as well.
Gotcha.
Littleton has a service
Yeah.
desk in the library.
Yes.
Yeah, and out here is a service desk within the library.
Gotcha.
As well as
Okay.
New Zealand Post. I don't think Littleton does New Zealand Post, but these guys do New Zealand Post.
So
But
the
they
extra
are not
cost of
within the
that.
library, well, yeah, but you're talking about the whole extra cost of staff.
I'm with you,
Of
no,
staff
it's fine.
time as well, yeah.
Trying to understand
Compared to
it.
the library. The library hours here, and this was also open on Saturday for 2 hours just for the library though. We can't do customer post stuff on
Yeah.
Saturday, but locals can come down and do the library thing.
That's good. Good
Yeah,
to know.
thank you.
Right,
Thank you.
leave that to the list in your plan. Okay, AMP show. So Bank Commercial AMP show was just down the road at our Easy Domain. At the end of January, and it was a beautiful day, not too hot, not too cold. And I think they had slightly lower numbers for the horse events, but there was a good amount of people that turned up, and the dog jumping, sorry, the high jump for the dogs is always popular. And a great event, and along with all of the rest of the crafts stalls and the ducks and the everything. So no, very, very good day. Yes, thanks to Onuku Marae for arranging Waitangi Day out there last week. I just felt like it's such goodwill. It's a very immersive experience. I went along with my in-laws from Australia and my kids and my husband, and just, yeah, it was a very immersive experience where it just got into you in a good way. And we enjoyed Stacey Morrison, is it? She emceed the last kind of batch of discussions, and I didn't realise till later, both her and myself are AFS returnees who went overseas and did cultural exchanges. She went to Japan and I went to Portugal, and you kind of just get that it's just learning from each other, feeling about the whole thing. So yeah, great day. Waitaha Primary Health, just catching up on what's all happening in the health system at the moment and potential ways of connecting around here. So there's some ideas about Waitāra Primary Health working in with the emergency response groups and how they could potentially help out people maybe getting their prescriptions if they can't cut off for a certain time or things like that, and also potentially helping Birdlands Flat source services that might be helpful for them, so like mental health services, probably a new nurses room, and potentially the Coronation Library is built, also looking in there with them as well. And so that's all good stuff there. Coronation Library seems to be going well. Unfortunately, we were supposed to have some kind of announcement about it, but Wolfgang had to go back to his home. Where is he from? Is he from Germany? I can't remember. Anyway, he had to go back home, which is somewhere in Europe, for an emergency. But we seem to have good progress around Coronation Library. Everybody's a bit scared to say, yes, it's definitely going ahead until we get the tick from the top, because we've had that before. So it's looking good though. And yes, Vanessa, I caught up with Vanessa at Waitangi, at Onuku for Waitangi Day, and yes, she kindly invited me as a chair to go and talk. She's having a talk with people in Aparoa this morning in regards to the idea of dark sky tourism. And I said, unfortunately, couldn't make it. I think Tyrone's the same. And so I invited her to come here and chat to us at the end of our meeting today. So she obviously thinks we're a cool bunch and she's happy to come and chat to us about that, which is really, really good to have her here. And I know we'll be great hosts. What else? I think that's it for me. Oh, just to keep an eye out today, what we brought up also at Onuku was about Ngāi Tahu, the court case against the Crown about water is starting today. So I think that whatever that evolves into or bubbles up, or it'll affect. Bubbles up. Pun not intended.
One that you're allowed water coming out.
Will affect exponentially because so many of our communities are so challenged around the issue of water and how much and how safe is it. So keep your eyes peeled on that one. Oh, thank you. Kathy.
Well, thank you. Casper Residents Association had their meeting. They've planned their activities for the year. They've done a student from UC has done a draft feasibility study on the garage or the community hub hall. So that will come to here at some point.
Sorry, what?
A feasibility study on the garage or the hall or the community hub or the emergency hub, whatever we'd like to call it.
It was exchanged, but
yes.
sorry, just through.
No, it's just that was
but on the garage, I just want to clarify, Kathy.
Yes, a feasibility study
on
the feasibility
doing of
community hall,
but
yes.
but different from the garage.
No, yes, well, it's on that space. So.
So not the site that's
Well, there were a few options on that site, so they've looked at all. Yeah. The emergency hub planning is going well in the community. A question raised, I think, also in terms of when you talk about reserves and stuff was on the encroachment of reserve in Casper, so that could probably come up again in some other meeting. On the 14th, the fire detection poles are doing the unveiling on Summit Road. So, yep, that's happening. The rec centre did their blessing on a mural in the hallway in the rec centre recently. What else is happening there? The Littleton Information Centre has a new manager, Janine Clark, who's also the new manager now. So she started, I think, in early June. Yeah, the Information Centre. The Rec Ground Reserve Committee were concerned about unleashed dogs in the park, and so they're quite keen to look at an alternative site for dogs. So they'll kind of work through that and talk to LPC and do some stuff like that. Also went to Onuku for Waitangi and also did a hikoi to the thing. So we walked from Akaroa to Onuku Marae, walked halfway and walked all the way back. So it was a 10K walk. So I could see all the road reserves and the cuttings and the narrow roads and buses trying to get past. I think it's a thing for all bay roads. It's so narrow and, all the traffic management around places. Around Cass Bay, just noticed, up by Pony Point, there's a burnt car and tire marks around Steadfast, so that whole safety thing will come up again, addressing safety and anti-social road users around the bays. And Naval Club and ECAN did a water safety event, and they also used Cass Bay Beach to do some water safety, and they had like free jet skiing and paddleboarding and stuff to raise water safety awareness, and that's me.
Thank you, Phoebe. Good job.
Kia ora tātou. Just coming in from Kathy. No, just about, again, antisocial road users. Noticed a lot more burnouts along the roads throughout the peninsula. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but summer always seems to increase their presence. Traffic management, especially through, noticed that when we had a really hot weekend, through Cass Bay, around Pātaka, the kind of area where people are really starting to park on both sides of the road. Yeah, I don't know if there was something that was going to be happening around that area.
Well, they shouldn't be able to park on both sides of the road on the Cass Bay side of Park Terrace because there's yellow.
Yeah, through where the white gates are, through Littleton
here.
Back Park,
Oh,
yeah, which is
yeah.
becoming really problematic.
Yes.
There's quite a few
Thank you,
cars.
Mum. Yes, I did raise that with Edwin actually, just because it's kind of one of those things that's historically been, people have known not to do that.
It's really bad at the moment.
That's really, yeah,
Yeah.
it's problematic. So,
Yeah. Haven't seen many police on the road, so I did get a speeding ticket, which my first ever. Highly appreciated down the tunnel road. I was 10k over. So that made me giggle a bit because I had just put in some 105
it's got on the public record now.
It's okay. I admit it. People over the beaches that summer haven't heard much about water testing this season. I have seen online that there are quite a few areas still that are not recommended for swimming, so I'm not too sure. Haven't noticed any signs up. But we haven't had many people swimming because the weather's been terrible, unfortunately. Graffiti, notice a huge increase in graffiti actually around the peninsula, but also through the city, strangely. I don't know what's going on with that. But my push is usually Eskimos during school holidays. Yeah. I have again requested some type of security camera at Rākaihautū Bay on the bus shelter. That bus shelter gets painted almost every week. I last week, Kino is a pretty prolific tagger.
Very prolific, yes.
Yeah. So if we could get a security camera, because he's back every week essentially.
What makes you know it, say it's a he?
Well, they, she, they. Yeah. So a lot of money spent on that when we could possibly get some recording of them and find out who they are.
That would be a great location for as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. What else? Sorry, there was something else. Auckland Park next week. Had hoped to be unemployed and to be able to attend more meetings, but I'm actually starting with Waitāha Health. It's allowing me to help me, so yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll chat to you about that later.
Yeah. I know, it'll be good to get some feedback when I start there, but yeah, that's me.
I'm just thinking too that, I shouldn't forget the cruise ships. Especially today, there's a very enormous one in town. But I would say overall that things seem to have been running. People come and go, and yes, there were quite a lot of people around on Saturday. There were 2 cruise ships in on Saturday. And it's a baby one. That's cute. Sorry, one that had a baby. But there was somebody really, well, one person, I don't know whether she represented other people who did had some concerns about anti-cruise ship posters around Christmas time, but that seems to have, I haven't heard anything this month or January, about that either, so that seems to have died down as well.
Littleton is not the only port in the world where there are people who, do you know what I mean, who rail against, it's just one of those things, isn't it? I think the economic conditions are sort of reducing demand.
There's not a lot of noise in that around. We've been getting a few, probably more than anticipated. Mixed mood there, isn't it?
Right, well, if everybody is finished, if they haven't got anything else they're burning to say, that's the official end of our meeting. We'll finish up with the karakia. Thank you very much. It's nice for confirmation that we